This is For the Love of Community Engagement, a podcast to inspire better public participation. We bring you the latest insights, innovation, information, and interviews from across the world. Visit fortheloveofcommunityengagement.com for show notes and more. And here's your host, Becky Hirst.
Welcome to Season 5, Episode 1, The Becky Edit. Before I go any further, though, I want to acknowledge that this podcast is coming to you recorded on the land of the Ghana people. This always was Ghana land and always will be. I also want to say I have no sponsors this season, so I'm actually going to back myself because this entire season is called The Becky Edit. It's about me, things that catch my attention, things that interest me. And so I might as well sponsor my own podcast. Therefore, the podcast sponsor for Season 5 is Hey Engage. That's my company. And you can find at heyengage.world all of my training. So I've got the Community Engagement Bootcamp available in its entirety, as well as a course about how to run a priority cafe. And, of course, my famous Measure What Matters, how to evaluate community engagement. That training is also available on demand. So go and check it out, heyengage.world. And so without further ado, let me introduce you to Lynne Welch, who is my guest at the fireside for this episode. Lynne is a fabulous person all round, but she's a communications and public relations specialist with over 15 years experience in bringing people along on journeys. She's extremely acclaimed in the engagement space. I recently attended her workshop at the Engagement Institute conference in Melbourne 2025, and her experience around lived experience was really inspiring, and I really like her approach. Lynne works for a state government department in New South Wales, but she's really turning up as her best self here, her individual self, wearing her human hat, if you like. And so I'll let you settle into this conversation, grab yourself a cup of tea and enjoy what we've got to say. Welcome, Lynne, to the fireside. This is actually a first for me in video during the podcast. Thank you for and we're going to talk about your creativity in a bit. Welcome to the fireside. It's like an actual fireside. I'll just declare to the listeners and potentially the watchers that we are coming to you live from, well, not live, pre-recorded, from the Engagement Institute conference in Melbourne. And we've just ducked out. It's lunchtime. And I attended a workshop yesterday run by Lynne, and it was amazing. And so I want to talk to you today about all of your amazing work. Thanks, everything. First of all, who are you and how have we connected? Can we recap on how we've got to be sitting here?
Yeah, well, I mean, you're a legend in the industry and I've been fangirling you for many years. And I feel like I've been in community engagement for almost 20 years, but with a long hiatus, living in India for 8 years.
Now this, I want to get into it. I want to know about this. Yeah. Okay. And then so you now live in Sydney?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. And how did we connect? So you've been fangirling me, but I think, and I'm going to answer this one, I think I saw you on TikTok. I think we're connected on LinkedIn, but you came up on my For You page maybe, or maybe you were following me, I don't know. And I just saw this person just doing this neighborhood stuff, and I was like, I like this woman, I need to talk about this. And actually this series on my podcast, this is the first of Season 5, Episode 1, and it's called The Becky Edit because it's just about things that have caught my eye and things that I love and like, and it's going to go all sorts and all over the place, but we're starting here with this concept of intentional neighbouring that I want to talk to you about. But let's just take a bit of a rewind, because I came to your workshop yesterday and discovered this about you, that you lived in India for 8 years. Can you tell me a bit about that? How did you end up in India?
Well, I feel like life was a bit too easy. I felt like there was more to life. I had a pretty good job as a project manager in local government. Very young, owned a house and just wanted to see the world. So I sold everything and decided to go backpacking. And I just volunteered as much as I could as a way to save money, but also as a way to really integrate into communities in a purposeful way. I found myself teaching English in a little Buddhist monastery in the Himalayas, and then decided that India was the place for me long term and I was going to settle there and live there forever. So made a decision to stick around.
Wow. Similar to, I started in England, as you can tell from my accent, and came backpacking to Sydney.
Yeah.
So that, and then, the story unfolds from there. But I'm now here in Australia. So you were in India for 8 years.
Yeah.
And you ran the workshop yesterday about lived experience. Can we just talk a bit about that? Can you first of all tell me, this phrase is getting thrown around quite a lot these days in
Yeah.
the community engagement space, this concept of lived experience. And it particularly, it gets used a lot in the mental health space and the health space without a doubt, but I've noticed it sliding much more into the world of community engagement. What is lived experience, for starters?
Lived experience is anything that people go through or conditions that people might have. So experience that's gained not through intellectual, academia or anything like that. It's something that shapes a person's perspective and the way that they think about things based on things that they have personally experienced.
Yeah, cool. So community engagement is just full of lived experience, isn't it? Because that's what we're wanting when people are helping us shape decisions that get made by government. We're really pulling on people's lived experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a real missed opportunity to understand that, at the end of the day, humanity is common and people are people.
Yeah.
And particularly in community engagement, I think we need to really understand that there are people at the heart of what we are doing and what we're engaging about. So I think it's very timely to encourage people to lean into what makes them human and those kinds of experiences that they have.
And what does living in India teach you about being human and lived experience? I thought you shared a slide yesterday
Yeah.
about smells and about picnics.
Yeah.
Those are the things I wanted to ask you about. So chai?
Yes. I think living in India just fostered that certainty that a hot drink is always a great way to create a welcoming space. And also, and I talked about this yesterday, but the smell of a campfire always feels welcoming and it feels grounding. So, when you're living in rural villages and you're smelling those campfires and people cooking, for me, I was smelling that. It was like, this is the kind of ambience or feeling that I want to create when I'm trying to create really meaningful and safe spaces for people to provide feedback.
Smell is so important, isn't it? I talk about this actually in the community engagement bootcamp that I run. I have a whole section about creating welcoming environments, and I talk about the 5 senses. And smell is something we don't often think about in community engagement, but even this morning, I was walking through Melbourne and I was about to cross an intersection and I caught this waft of croissants coming up the street. I could smell pastry.
That would warm an environment.
And it was Lynne Bakery, which is apparently very famous. And so I went and joined the queue. I was on my healthy walk and the smell wafted and got me. And I just went and joined the queue and had this delicious pastry with lemon curd. So I'm totally into the smell. What else did it teach you about lived experience?
Look, I think that India is obviously famous for its melting pot of spirituality.
Yeah.
So we talk about smell, we talk about alternative belief systems and aromatherapy. I think that was the first real exposure that I had to belief systems or things that were beyond what my own then lived experience was.
Yeah. The other thing I really liked what you talked about was you had your son in India and you talked about how it takes a village to raise a child and that we say that a lot.
Yeah.
And in certainly Australia and I would say British culture, well, most Western culture actually, we don't have that village around us.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit what it was like to have a son in a place where there is a village to raise a child?
Yeah, absolutely. So my son was born in India and we lived in a very remote regional place where we washed our dishes and my hair in a stream. It was that sort of remoteness. But one of the great things was that the sense of kinship and community was really alive and well in that my son was everybody's son.
Yeah.
And I talked about it yesterday that when I came back to Australia, I really felt the burden of responsibility to be 100% accountable for this life. And it really... I really understood the power of a village. And so when there is that old saying, it takes a village to raise a child, in my experience, the village was responsible for raising the child. That everyone had this shared sense of responsibility that we just don't have here. We absolutely don't understand that. We, parents are accountable. People are conflicted with other people weighing in on what they perceive as their... they have ownership things here that, when I came back to Australia, I really missed that village. It was not a philosophy, but I really miss that sense of a village where everyone looked after each other.
The example you gave yesterday that I loved was something to do with your son saying, like, auntie such and such, I'm hungry. And that auntie would just feed him. Whereas here, they'd say, where's your mum? Don't find your mum. So you're, as a mum here, responsible to feed your child.
Yeah, and it sounds crazy. Like, I'm complaining about the fact that I have to feed my own child, but it was a real shock to the system.
Yeah.
You know, he was crying that not everybody went to run and see what was wrong with him, and rather, hey, Lynne, like, you know, something's happened. And then me going, it's on. Oh, this is me.
And I've had that moment occasionally, say, with school mums where we've spent a bit of time together and, you know, my daughter falls over and is crying and one of the other mums goes over, and it feels so lovely when there's somebody else looking out for your kid. But that's few and far between here in Australia.
Yeah.
So I love the sound of that. I think it's what we need, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that moves me on to now. I know there's a lot in between then and now, but for the sake of the podcast,
Yeah.
I spotted you on TikTok doing this thing that you called, and is it a thing? Intentional neighbouring.
I didn't make it up, but it's definitely a thing. It was a concept that I learned about where people are intentionally becoming good neighbours. And I thought it was a really good idea. And for me, it was trying to create that village atmosphere and bond with people that were in the proximity of my urban village.
Yeah, okay. So set the scene for me. So you're living in a new housing estate, is that right?
The first time I was living in an apartment, and I could see that it was a densely populated place where lots of people were congregating, and it was COVID times, and obviously I was new back to Australia. I only just moved back, and I was really keen to connect and thought, in essence, this apartment is its own little community. How can I foster a sense of community within this apartment? What common areas do we have?
Yeah.
We have a common swimming pool. Maybe I could do something in the swimming area where people could meet. My son and I created a little sign that said a hat library where people could borrow hats. And then I would use that as a way to start conversations with the neighbours about other things that we could share. So, you know, talking about tool libraries, or rather than everybody having a screwdriver, then you just, you know, put on the list what you might have available that could be shared.
Yeah, wow. I love the idea of the hat library, because you always forget your hat. Yeah, well, my kids do anyway. So how did that go down? Did you start doing?
So good. Yeah. And it was just a fun way. Look, I found these giant colourful sombrero hats on Facebook. So it was like repurposing recycled materials in a sense that someone was just giving away because they were so colourful and fiesta-like. It was fun, and, you know, people enjoyed wearing them because of the frivolity of it all.
Yeah.
And I think, people were happy that someone was bringing some sort of vibe to a pool area. When people are going down to the pool, they're there for a good time.
Yeah. And I want to come to that. I want to come to that about the person bringing the vibe, because I bring the vibe a fair bit, and you do, I can tell. But what happened then? You moved to another estate. You shared a photo of it yesterday, so I'm visualizing it in my head.
Yeah. So I was renting in an apartment, and I'd signed a house and land contract. I was waiting for the land to register.
Okay.
Took years, but I dreamed about the idea that all of the people who had signed house and land packages were going to move into this new area at the same time.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is literally the greatest opportunity for me to genuinely shape a community and create a neighbourhood and be part of that change in terms of intentional neighbouring. And so I had this idea that I would host a street warming party for all of the people that moved into the street.
Yeah.
And door knocked, you know, went around with a little flyer and inviting people to come to our first inaugural community street warming party.
Yeah.
And just had a celebration on the street.
You've reminded me, actually, my very dear friend and mentor in life, Dr. Wendy Sarkisian, she's based in Vancouver now. She's been on the podcast a few times. She shared a video. We ran some training together recently. She shared a video of a new housing development. And I reckon I'm going to have to fact check here. It was probably in the 80s, maybe in the 90s. And it was exactly what you're talking about the neighbours all buying a block of land. But they actually got them all together before they moved in to help kind of plan plan their houses around each other's and actually all talk to each other about, oh, we're planning this. And she's got all this video footage of this happening. It's just like so groundbreaking.
Yeah, that would never happen now. Like early engagement. What?
Oh, I know. So I'm gonna check that out and try and get a copy of the video off her. So you've moved into this area. You've done this street warming party.
To level up on it.
Hey, sort of come along, and you've shared this on TikTok, so I've kind of caught onto it.
Yes.
And then you did a follow-up event. The follow-up was a pizza party, is that right?
A potluck picnic.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
So
Because of all the
we knew that we had a lot of diversity in the neighbourhood, and we actually got to know each other. I asked people where their country of origin were.
Yeah.
So of the 36 houses that were occupied, I think we had 34 countries of origin, and we decided that we would get together, bring a plate of food and share a meal together, just as a potluck picnic. You get what you get, but it was a way to inspire conversation and celebrate the diversity that exists in the neighbourhood so that people do feel welcome.
And did it work?
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, it's something so simple about it, isn't there?
Yeah.
And easy to do in terms of people turning up and bringing their food of their nationality. I don't know what I'd bring. A Scotch egg, apple pie, I reckon. Okay, so the question I've got for you. So I've done a bit of this in the past in places that I've lived, particularly here in Australia, where I've had to kind of like throw myself into my own community just to sort of get to know people.
Yeah.
And I'm based in Adelaide, where it can be a little bit cliquey, and you've got to really kind of, show up. You've got to be intentional.
Yeah.
And I've done it over time, but I found myself getting a bit cynical nowadays, a bit like, why has it got to be me that does it? And I've just moved to a new street in the last year. And I'm thinking to myself, I really want to get to know my neighbours, but I keep coming back to this, why me? So why do you think it's you? Why does it fall on us? What's wrong with everybody else?
Yeah.
Why doesn't anybody else think about this stuff?
Well, I think that it can be really disappointing that you have to be the person that drives the change, like for sure. But then I think deep down, I feel like everybody wants that connection, but not everybody is willing or has the skills to drive the connection.
Yeah.
So I think, and you're that person too, and I'm sure that many other people in the community engagement industry just have those inherent skills to be those change makers. We have that leadership element where we are, somewhat inspiring or willing to do the work.
Yeah. Although I'm going to say, I'm not sure everybody in the community engagement world loves community as much as we do, perhaps. I think there's real niches in the community engagement space, and some people are about different elements of it, and everybody has a place, without a doubt. But some of us really come from that community angle.
Yeah.
And I certainly know that that's how I've stood out in the marketplace, if you like, over the years, that my passion comes from that community and connectedness and that intentional neighbouring, I guess.
Yeah.
But it really interests me. What star sign are you?
A Leo.
A Leo. Does that line up with this kind of?
I mean, lion's share of attention, extrovert. I don't know.
Oh, you don't see you're a Gemini, because I'm a Gemini, and we're all about this kind of like doing this stuff and being the bubbly kind of party host kind of thing. I hope you don't mind me asking as well. I've recently been diagnosed ADHD.
Yeah.
Your ADHD
Absolutely.
as well.
I think that is actually how we connected. I think I commented on something. Thank you for being a voice for the spectrum.
You did.
And you were like, oh, and I was like, we do need more people who, present completely quirky, maybe, or functional, but obviously has that hidden struggle that isn't talked about enough.
Yes. But in our instance in this, I'm not, well, maybe it is a struggle. I'm not seeing it as a struggle. I'm seeing it as that this is the energy that we bring.
It's a superpower.
It really is a superpower. And then it got me wondering when that you've pieced it all together for me. Thank you. Yeah, you commented on that saying, yes, thank you for being a voice. And I was like, oh no, now I'm a voice of something else. All these things, all these lived experiences. But it then got me thinking when I saw your TikToks, and I was like, whoa, look at her go with her intentional neighbouring. Yeah. Is this something, do you think, that ADHD people perhaps, are we called ADHD people? People with ADHD, people with neurodiversity. Do we bring this energy to a community?
Absolutely. And I think I don't want to underestimate the struggles that people feel, but I do think that there are probably a lot of really good community engagement operators who have an underlying diagnosis of some sort of neurodiversity, because we become exceptional at masking and relating to people. It's part of that, how we've learned to cope in a neurotypical world. So our skill set increases and we become really good at connecting with people and creating opportunities for engagement.
I really do think there's something in it. And I think it's like every street needs someone with neurodiversity to kind of bring that magic and bring that energy. And I'm very new to it because I hadn't sought a diagnosis from it. Yeah, it just came about in the last year from one thing and another. And yeah, it suddenly became quite clear to me. And also I noticed you're really creative but again, you might say, well, I'm not that creative. You're just being yourself.
Yeah.
But you, first of all, are able to you helped me set up everything today. And like you're just constantly, creating content and doing interesting things at your workshop yesterday. I had all sorts of, colourful things. And
that's called dopamine seeking. And wanting the dopamine and wanting the colour and the fun. And you talk about being the energy. And absolutely, I think that not everyone, but certainly there would be an element of people who, want that energy or want that vibe because it's just part of who we are. It's inherently.
Yeah. And I will put a lot of my success down to the dopamine seeking of social media. So I will, I'm often in my office doing some work for a client and then I'm like, done. I just need to do something now to give me and that'll often be just a quick thing to video to camera, pop it on LinkedIn, you get a few comments, you get a few likes, like, whoa, that feels good.
It's funny.
It's helped me.
We didn't talk about this, but I noticed the other day that you were talking about the social media ban and having teenage children.
Yeah.
And I have a 10-year-old son who is a gamer and I'm a big fan of social media.
Yeah.
And I even contributed to the survey of, that was engagement in terms of whether or not there should be a ban.
Okay.
I do think that there's a lot of value in social media sometimes. It can be a scary place, but it's definitely something that needs more consideration about the value that it offers in terms of connection.
Yeah.
And virtual communities.
Yeah. And I can see my young people and let's do the disclaimer that because people tell me this whenever I say anything positive, it's like, don't underestimate the bad part of social media. And yes, and I say, well, we all need a break from it. Yeah. In that case, because I really think our generation is actually the worst.
Yeah.
But I do see my children being what I was. My 9-year-old is spending all her time creating these little YouTube videos, and she pops one. She might have more subscribers than me. Come to think of it, but she is just posting it and sharing it, and it's a creative outlet. It's a little dopamine hit, which she hasn't yet been diagnosed. Neither of my two have, but I suspect there's some neurodiversity there. They're definitely showing the signs of it, and it's this creative outlet, this little dopamine fix that they love, and it's what I used to do with a tape player, and my dad used to get the VHS big camcorder from work once a year, and I'd get to play with it over a weekend, make little videos. But it's the same stuff. So I think that I worry particularly about my teenager, my 13-year-old, and anybody in that gap up to whenever it's going to be legal, 16, that are going to have it stripped from them. And I am very seriously thinking about removing myself with my 13-year-old.
And that's what shocked me, because I think that there's a lot of value in online communities that is untapped. Like we don't necessarily, I think about engagement and the way that I engage working in the state government.
Yeah.
And obviously I can't door knock every household in the state government, but I can put something online and have that opportunity for engagement in a broader forum.
Yeah.
And I think that increasingly as the world goes digital and, we start harnessing technology even more than we are now, there is a real opportunity to tap into online communities or virtual spaces for people that are connecting.
Yeah. Oh, there's so much. Yeah. So I don't know if she's going to be kicked off and have her world disrupted.
Yeah.
I can't stand with my kid.
Yeah.
Have mine world disrupted so that at least we can go I'm bored, what should we do for what should we do for dopamine? Yeah, well,
some intentional memory activities perhaps.
Exactly. So that's got me thinking, in terms of and that intentional neighbouring, is brilliant. And so you're doing all of that in your spare time.
Yeah.
So you're using your professional skills in your own community. Do you get to use your personal skills in your work life?
Absolutely. I feel like I inherently live, breathe, love community engagement. It is my passion. It's who I am. It's who I've always been. In some way or another, it's just part of me. So, if I had to segregate it, technically I'm honing my personal skills in a professional environment, or I'm honing my professional skills in a personal environment. But I think that's where the concept of lived experience comes in, and the thought behind that. You have one life. Your experience, has different chapters in that life.
Yeah.
Your expertise absolutely translates over multiple chapters.
Yeah.
So I'm honing my craft. My craft has engagement, whether it's personally or professionally. I just try and get better and better.
Well, keep going. I'm going to have to wrap things up, but keep going and keep being you and keep sparkling and bringing the colour and the energy, but also the strategy, might I say, because people often think I just turn up with the fun, and I really don't like that. I'm more than fun. We are constantly strategizing and using our energy to do the good things and do the right things strategically. We know what we're doing, don't we? We're not just the party girl.
Very considered. What goes on back here is a lot.
Now, I've got one final question. Two final questions. How can people connect with you? They want to connect.
Social media.
Everything.
Yeah. Instagram, hashtag Wenderella, LinkedIn, TikTok, all things.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And if you were going to close this episode, I used to finish every episode with a song, because I used to just host purely on Spotify, and then they took that feature away, so I can't do it anymore. But if you were to finish this episode with a song, what song should everybody go and listen to now?
I think Paul Kelly from Little Things, Big Things Grow.
Oh, I love that. Very apt. Tell us specifically why.
Oh, because, you've got to be the change that you want to see in the world, and everything starts with a seed. So plant the seed and hope that it goes somewhere.
I like that. And let's leave that on a specific, to our listeners, watchers, intentional labouring. Do something small.
Absolutely. You've got neighbours. Go out there and
do it.
Do something for your community.
Love it. Thank you for joining me. Thank you.
Cheers. That was fun.
Yay. That's brilliant.